The tag done just before the deadline. This is the statement from the Ravens executive vice president, general manager Eric DeCosta, saying, having not reached a long-term deal with Lamar Jackson, we will use the franchise tag. There have been many instances across the league and in Baltimore when a player has signed designated with a franchise tag and signed a long-term deal that same year. We will continue to negotiate in good faith with Lamar, and we are hopeful that we can strike a long-term deal that is fair to both Lamar and the Ravens. Our ultimate goal is to build the championship team with Lamar Jackson leading the way for many years to come. So, Mike Garafolo, I want to ask you first, what does this mean, them putting the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson? What does that mean for both parties?
Well, it means that the Baltimore Ravens, who have been trying to negotiate with Lamar Jackson in a more traditional structure than we've seen for deals, which is far less than the entire value of the contract fully guaranteed, have not been able to make progress with Lamar Jackson, who has been kind of intimating that he wants way more guarantees on his deal. And really, you got to have the leverage to get that done. Kirk Cousins had the leverage to get that done because he hit unfettered free agency after playing out 2 franchise tags. Deshaun Watson had that leverage. Now, we can talk about whether or not he should and the ethics of it all, but I will tell you that he did have multiple teams at the table bidding for him, and the Cleveland Browns needed to step up the money to get him to go to Cleveland. They did. That's why he got a fully guaranteed deal. Lamar Jackson saw that and said, well, I'm worth that. Well, to get that, you've got to get the leverage. You've got to have other teams at the table. Well, in some form or fashion, he finally does have other teams at the table. The non-exclusive tag, which comes with a salary offer of salary tender, of $32 million for this upcoming season, allows Jackson to communicate with other teams. Now, the Ravens have the right to match. If they don't, they get 2 first-round picks in return, which some would say is not enough of a return for Lamar Jackson. Usually, that's enough to scare everybody off from even talking to a franchise tag player. But in this case, some might say that that is below market value in a trade for Lamar Jackson. So I think the Ravens are basically saying, let's get on with it. Let's give you a chance to go out there and see what's out there. Either sign an offer sheet that we can match or trade you after that, or come back to us and we'll have some more negotiations to try to get this done. They're saying they want to get it done. We shall see what happens.
This is also a place, Mike, where players who have agents, usually, even though you're not allowed to do this, have agents reach out to different teams, figure out what the market is, well before you get to the situation of a franchise tag. Lamar Jackson's case, he does not have an agent. His mother is his advisor. I don't know for sure, but I would certainly think that other teams would be very wary of tampering directly with a player prior to him becoming available. So next week, when for the first time Jackson is allowed to negotiate with other teams, will really be the first time that he sees what his value is. And that certainly seems to be a strategic move by the Ravens here to say, you know what, we've tried for more than a year to get this thing done. It has not worked. Now go ahead, and we've at least got the right to match this deal and keep you, or potentially let you go for 2 first-round picks, even match it, and then try to work out a trade afterward for more than 2 first-round picks, which, based upon the people I've asked about that today, would be unprecedented, but there's nothing to the letter of the rules saying that you can't do that. So the question now becomes, what exactly is Lamar Jackson's value? We know that the Ravens have made significant offers to Lamar Jackson in terms of the average per year, in terms of the total value of the contract. He's wanted to see those full guarantees move up. But the Ravens are far from the only team that is reluctant to do fully guaranteed deals. And there were a lot of people within the league who weren't happy when the Browns did the fully guaranteed deal with Deshaun Watson. So we are in for a fascinating period of time here to see what happens with Lamar Jackson in negotiations with other teams. I would not take it as a given that there ends up being an offer sheet, because it's always possible that when Lamar talks to other teams, he hears similar things he did from the Ravens, which is that we'd really like you, but this is the best we can do.
Yeah, and it's really going to be fascinating here. I think one thing, Tom, that to kind of watch for it, and you guys are all over it, the market is going to be set. Rarely do we have a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, I think is the last one, if I can remember, be a free agent. Lamar Jackson, not a free agent, but at least teams do have the opportunity to step in and say, we value you here. Now, that's not a true free market value, because it does cost 2 first-round picks, but you know, you do get to say, how much is he worth? And, you know, if you're Lamar Jackson and you're harping on a fully guaranteed deal and you know that you can get it, okay. And I think what the Baltimore Ravens are saying is, if you can get it, go get it, come show us, and then we'll have a decision to make about whether or not to match. You'd think that this is their franchise guy they would match, but we don't know for sure, depending on what the deal would be. The market is now going to set what Lamar Jackson gets, which whether this was his goal or not, this is where he ended up. And I'm not so sure this is a bad place for anyone.
The last quarter.